Recording is on.
Hey everyone, this is community call number 18 here, and we just started kicking off with a little bit of conversation around accessibility and how we can make these calls to the community more inclusive. And Patricia was just talking about how she has some friends who are deaf. And so I'm just wondering, it really is a shame, and especially if they say like, don't worry about it, because we should worry about it. But then like, I don't know what it's like to be deaf and how to set this up ideally. And if they can say it, then we could just do that right away, which would be ideal.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's like a good area, not just in terms of like us meeting, but just Bitcoin in general. I think, Christoph, you've actually mentioned this more than anybody I can remember in these meetings. Just the level of accessibility, not just for web, but products and interaction to make it easier. And I think we're really privileged, all of us, so far as I know, in this call can hear and see. So we're able to catch context and kind of like understand these things a little bit more innately. I know that software is getting a little bit better. Most of it isn't free and open source for people who are deaf, but that's something that I would be interested in seeing just in terms of like this community in general. Oftentimes, like before we even meet people in person, you don't even know what they're like. And sometimes you'll be like with people on GitHub and you're like, oh, I didn't realize you were this kind of person or you had these needs or whatever. And sometimes it's totally fine. But I guess in the case of people being deaf in particular, it is really hard for video formats. And I would also say it's hard for something like if you're hosting a Twitter Spaces, and that's not something I considered either. We were doing one for BTC Pay, and like I'm sure there's ways around it, and people are thinking of this too. I don't think we're the only ones, but there are some missed opportunities for us to make it better and more inclusive. So maybe that's just something that we constantly work on, because I do agree, Christoph, like just people shouldn't have to feel dismissed or like, oh, we're used to it, you know, it's fine, go on without us. We should be consciously making steps in the right direction and like actionably looking towards what we can do. So if anyone else has any ideas, I don't know the right answer. I'm just bringing it to the table because it happened to occur with my friends. I would be interested in getting them involved.
Well, I know. Sorry,
you go ahead.
I was trying to talk. Oh, Stephen. Yeah, thank you. I know that YouTube has some closed captioning options when you upload a video. And it's not only an option, but you can also look into the transcript and make sure that whatever, like it can do it automatically. But then you can choose, go in there and edit. You know, so if there's anything that it doesn't pick up and you know what it is, then you can edit it and add it in, and that may be something to look into.
Yeah, and Google Meet also has automated closed captioning. You just press a button, little panel shows up, and you just see everything. And I tried it out. I was just created a meeting, just started saying things, and it worked really well. Jitsi, unfortunately, doesn't have that built in. And I think one of the tricky things is if we're a design community and we have a lot of visuals to show and we show products and whatnot, then we kind of need the video call is very useful for that. But on the other hand, you want to have this text-based conversation then if you can't hear. So a lot of developers have IRC chats to hold their meetings, which would be ideal, but then that kind of suffers on the visual side. I was also wondering if there's something like a FigJam or a Miro board, if those are a bit more naturally suited because there's less conversation, but you have visual elements, you have a visual space to work with, and you can have chat at the same time. I don't know, maybe there's something in all of these options.
Yes, I mean, I had two things I wanted to contribute. I mean, the first, Alexa and Christoph have kind of already hit off just the idea of automatic transcription. You know, I don't personally love using Google products that much, but they are there for free and they're very useful. So, you know, Google Meet's always an option for those kinds of things. And I think there are automatic transcription things for Jitsi, I think, that will transcribe on the fly, but you probably have to pay for that. So at that point, it seems like that's just an issue of cost and who's going to pay for it and how much and all of that. So that's just more of a technical thing of, you know, how does it get paid for, which is potentially a solvable challenge. But I think also just another angle to it is just making sure that in an open source space that decisions are made not just through one channel. So and just making sure that continue to do that kind of thing. So like before we have a call, it's like there might be an agenda that's posted. So like, Christoph sent the Google Drive link that has like a list of this is what we're going to discuss. And it's announced in Slack beforehand so that people have the time to leave in the comments, oh, hey, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. Then frequently after the call, I don't think we always do this, but there might be like a summary posted on this call, this is what we discussed. So because it's not just, accessibility for people with disabilities, it's also time zones. Like, Bosch is a very active contributor. He can never make it to any of these calls because of his time zone, right? So there's something in open source, not just about just making it so that, I guess what I'm trying to say is that another way to approach this isn't optimizing the Jitsi call. That's certainly good, but if you can't optimize the Jitsi call, then think of a way just so that information is spread through multiple channels and decisions are made over a long enough period of time so that people have time to see it in whatever channel is most optimum for their needs.
Very good point. And I was wondering if it's not better than to have, instead of bigger calls, just have smaller ones that are more targeted for different needs, different time zones, different languages. But then you would need more individual people to organize all of them. So it would require more active organizers. Like I can't organize a Spanish call at midnight, for example. Somebody else, like Alexa, you'd have to do that one. Or whatever people want to do.
For sure. And that's something I was thinking about too on this. I was like, wow, it's really going to become, right now, obviously, this is very niche. And I hope this community becomes bigger eventually, not just design community, but Bitcoin in general, free and open source software. And if and when that does happen, we do need to think about more options for people, not just people who are deaf, but languages. And I don't know that transcription is the best way to do it, but having something where someone could just plop maybe some sort of file in and figure out what it means to them. I mean, we all speak English as far as I know here. So it's easier for us to communicate, but what do you do if you're in a country that does not speak English? Or maybe I think about rural communities too, right? Like a lot of those people are going to benefit, I hope, the most from Bitcoin. And if we can make that happen for people who maybe haven't had access to learn English, like that would be great. Again, I'm kind of with Stephen on the Google products thing. It's better to decentralize, but having something that could translate easily, I think would be great. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that are, but I was thinking about language too on the sort of like ability scale. Also, I don't want to hijack our meeting. We can totally stop talking about this if you want.
I'm glad we're talking about it. I think we need to have more accessibility conversations. We need people more pushed for it more, needs to be more active, but that's just me. And a lot of times I've done accessibility work for websites primarily, and I've actually found that there are really good tools available. And within just like 5 hours, you can make a huge difference and resolve a ton of stuff and make it better. So I think there are a lot of small things that can be done that make a really big difference. It's just you kind of have to know which ones they are. And that's kind of the tricky bit sometimes.
And I don't know, I just agree that we do need to look into more options and see what it is that we can do to make things easier for people. I know that, for example, a lot of people may be used to like copying and pasting onto Google Translate or something, but it's not as easy. So it'd be nice if there were certain things that were available in different languages or on a visual level. In some cases, of course, this wouldn't be accessibility for people with different hearing capacities, but it's a sort of thing to try to include everyone in different ways. And if some people learn more in a visual way, then have that there. And if there's more text or options that they could read, or have one of the readers tell them what that is, then look into all of those little details.
Yeah, and something practical we can do is we can start a discussion on GitHub. We can put something on the website itself about in the contribute page, for example. Maybe there, I don't really know where, but there are probably some other places on the website too where we can say if you have certain needs, if you want to do certain things, if you'd like different formats, here's what to do. I don't know what those details would be right now, but we can make this more, put this out there more.
Yeah, I think like just even articulating it is a big step forward. I think ultimately, probably a lot of, I'm echoing what people have said, but it should be people in these communities who are actually speaking for the communities, right? Like not us as people who are not deaf or maybe do not speak a particular language, French, whatever it may be. But if people don't even feel welcomed, or if they just have the attitude of like, you know, whatever, I'm used to this, it's fine, I'll just go somewhere else and figure it out, like then we're not really doing our part, I think. So even just having something in GitHub, which I'd be happy to like figure out some language around, but I think just acknowledging it and say like, if you have any suggestions, like we want you to be here kind of thing would be helpful. Just so, I mean, just based on the reaction I had, my friends were just like, whatever, it's fine, we're used to it. Just, I don't know, making people feel like we want them here would be good. I don't know how others feel about that, but I think it would be good just to have something in GitHub.
I have something on the page, on the website. You know, maybe it could be linked into that page on open design communities or something like that, and have some say about this. I don't know. I feel like it should be a little bit of the guide, you know, like we are open to people from different I don't know, different perspectives, different places, different capacities, or I don't know. I think that's one of the strengths of the community, that you can have different points of view. And I dislike the idea that that people can arrive and not have something at least that acknowledges them in a special way, like you say. So yeah, something like that would be interesting. And as far as the Spanish goes, I know with everything that's happening in El Salvador, it would be, I don't know, really nice to explore some things. I'd like to see something that's kind of culturally driven in different languages. So maybe it's not like a literal translation of the entire guide like right now, but it could be something that speaks to a specific place, location, culture that has some aspect of it in the guide. Maybe maybe we do need a page that kind of speaks of that, of welcoming people from all sorts of walks of life, and just focus on that. Maybe with some visuals that, I kind of like this idea.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be too complicated either. I 100% agree. It could just be something we iterate on over time as we figure out what people's needs are, but just making them feel like this isn't just for people who speak English or have access to money or the internet or whatever. Just making people feel like we want them here, I think is a pretty key component. And like, will help you learn kind of thing. Like you don't have to have like tons of tech education. We'll I don't know, having a point of contact maybe with that section would be great.
Maybe we could tie it in with this concept that we carry over of Bitcoin is for everyone. And I don't know where we have something like that on the guide. Christoph, can you think of where it would fit? But I'm thinking if we have like this Bitcoin is for everyone, you have that.
Onboarding maybe? No? Could be like a prelude to, I don't know.
I mean, we do have this contribute page that's all about getting involved in projects, what the guide's about, Slack channels, the calendar.
Without completely derailing us, maybe adding something about age too, so people know it's not just like you can be any age too. I don't know, I was reading this thing from Bitcoin Zay, and he was talking about educating kids, how they all had bank accounts, but you need an adult to go, get your money out of it. So I don't know, just encouraging different age groups too.
You know, I do remember you saying something about age groups also in the intro to the Figma config video.
Totally. No, I feel like there's this whole like example everyone likes to, like, it needs to be easy enough for my grandma to use, but it's like, honestly, like, some of these people are going to die pretty soon. Like, I'm not trying to be dark, but like, straight up, like, they're not going to live forever. But there are people who are younger than us who are going to contribute a lot to this area, more than we will, certainly. So I think just like getting people involved sooner rather than later is probably a great point. Yep, inclusion. There you go.
Daniel just pointed that out. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. This is a good one that we should put further out. Does anybody particularly feel like this is something that they want to push forward? Just generally.
Yeah, I think I'll dive into this one. I like where it's going.
Let's do it, Alexa. I think now that I've gotten us all on board, I need to follow through. I've really committed a lot of time to this. No, and I really think like it's personal too for me. Like, I think that we need to have our friends and family. Like, if you know someone who's deaf and they can't do it, like, help them, or speaks a different language, help them. Like, that's the right thing to do. So totally down to help, Alexa.
Awesome. It is recorded now also on video.
Yeah.
So there you go.
We're committed.
Yeah, it's official.
You have receipts.
Yeah, no, I do think it could have some interesting graphics too that kind of would help the guide overall if people have some of those things available too.
Yeah, maybe we could have different language channels. Maybe, I don't know, there are all kinds of things we could set up. We would just need to know what's actually in demand, because we can set up a Chinese channel, but then if nobody has that need, then it'll be useless.
Or if none of us can speak Chinese, then it'd be kind of difficult. Yeah.
Okay, here's an idea. This is more of an implementation idea of what you were just talking about the like a welcome page or something for different cultures and languages. I'm imagining, you go to a website and there's always like you'll find the language icon in the upper right hand corner, and you click it, a little drop down appears, and you select your language, and obviously we don't have translations for any other languages, right? But people are used to going and switching the language, so we could make like a page for certain languages for other languages. Like, let's say we wanted to do Spanish, so we put like a Espanol in the drop-down list. You click it though, and it just redirects you to a page that's like a single page in Spanish. That's like, hey, welcome to the Bitcoin Design Guide. This is blah, blah, blah. This is what we're all about. And if you're interested, and if there's an interest in having this translated, then these are the ways where you can contact us, and we can have that discussion, right? And maybe we could get that translated into a couple different languages. It's kind of like a troll in a way. It's like but people are used to clicking that thing, so it would get them clicking to that page, and that would be a way of collecting data and actually figuring out, like, okay, which languages are looking for this content, and where should we prioritize our focus and efforts.
Or could it be a way to encourage people, like, say if people that spoke Spanish arrived at that page, it's like, you can contribute to this part of the guide. Is that what you were trying to say, Stephen?
Well, I was specifically trying to say it as like a single page, just like a default like page, like, sorry, kind of like saying, sorry, we don't have your language yet, but if you'd like to contribute or help out or just let us know that you're interested, then this is how you can contact us. But you were talking about like signaling it for them to contribute to a specific section, I guess.
Well, not necessarily, but saying that they could contribute maybe if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It reminds me of a concept, I think it was called Ghetto Test, by the company Zynga, that made these social games where they would just create a cover they didn't develop the game, they would just come up with a concept or an idea, create a cover for it, post ads for it, and then you click through it and you just get nowhere. It's just a dead page. But if enough people clicked on it, then they would actually create like a basic version of the game. If some people like the basic version of the game, they would make a more complex version of the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very similar to that.
Yeah.
Idea validation is, I think, the technical term for that. So like idea validation, but for languages.
Yeah, we should just ask people to and open those doors. Do you want to keep talking about the accessibility? We're about halfway through. We can keep talking about it if you'd like, or we can go to the other topics.
I think we can move on if people feel comfortable with it. This is already way more than I expected, so I'm glad we're making moves.
So the big thing on the list today was Lightning Wallet Playtime. I think we have a pretty sophisticated group of people here today. Has everybody, is that something you want to do? Everybody comfortable with the Lightning wallets, or do you want to send some sats around, or here play Lightning Spin, which I won 250 sats earlier when I tried it out to make sure that it actually still works. So it's pretty cool.
Has everyone here tried Lightning before?
Who has not tried Lightning here? Nobody.
I think we have, well, at least for me, I think it's, thank you, Johns, for introducing me to Lightning a while back. Yeah.
I think what would be interesting, Christoph, is that what's it called? Slingshot, the map.
Oh, Sparkshot?
Yeah, Sparkshot, the map. We got the Bitcoin design map in there, right?
Oh yeah, I set this up as an experiment too. So I created, so Sparkshot, if you remember them, they were very early in the design community. They said, hey, we're working on the Sparkshot thing. People can upload images, and then they're all hidden. And then you pay per pixel, 1 Satoshi per pixel to reveal the image little by little. And I looked at it again because I was trying to come up with activities and see what you can actually do with Lightning these days. And there's unfortunately not a lot. But this one came up, and I thought, well, we're a kind of a visual community, so I'll just do something here. So I came up, I took the Bitcoin Island graphic and I put it up here. And it's like one Satoshi per pixel. So I thought, well, I'll upload an image that's 500 by 500. It's going to cost 25,000 Satoshi. It's not too much. Of course, my math was off. It cost 250,000 to uncover the whole thing. But here it is, basically. And I took the...
Send the link, Christoph. Send the link.
Okay. It's in the document, too, here in this one here. This is the link to it. Yeah. So the way it works is that you can draw on it. And if it's kind of hard to see, you can zoom in, and they have this little, and then you just kind of mark the pixel, and it tells you, okay, this one would cost here 130, and then you can put in a message like, oh, look what's here. You press here, pay, you get an invoice. Well, I'll just pay for that one. I'm using Zeus here, by the way. Set it up with my Umbro. And just
does everyone have like a Lightning wallet on hand? You got some Satoshis? Anyone doesn't have Satoshis on their wallet?
Paying for it right now, and here it is. That worked. So
nice.
So yeah, it's super smooth when you try it out. And that cost me 134 sats, which, what is that? Less than a cent, probably.
I just sent one.
If you don't have any Satoshis, just post it in the chat, and one of us will pay.
Yeah. And by the way, I added some stuff to this graphic that's not in the Bitcoin Island graphic on the website. Woo! There's more to discover because I thought, well, it shouldn't be just a lot of water because that's boring.
Let's get
I was going to ask if yeah, this looks really interesting. Are there any other like use any other examples of people using Lightning recently and stumbling across issues? Yeah, that would be interesting to talk about. I have one that I might mention in a second. I need to grab my phone to get the error message that came up on Moon. But essentially, I was basically buying this T-shirt from Scarce.city. Let me post it in the chat. So I was buying this T-shirt, and I think there's like a limited supply, and so the invoice that was generated was time bound to like 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when I went to pay for the invoice in Moon, I got an error saying basically the invoice time was too small. Like it would only accept invoices up to 1 hour. And so I think I ended up just doing an on-chain payment in the end. And I don't really understand the error. Let me see if I can get my phone and I'll post a screenshot in the thread in Slack.
I thought Lightning invoices were always 1 hour, no?
No, that's what I thought as well. But let me grab my phone, 2 seconds.
I think some can be 24 hours, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I was like donating to the Katie Diaz Foundation, like the surf thing that Miles is doing, and yeah, I had like a lot of rejections because I wasn't doing it within the allotted window, and I thought I was like doing it correctly. This is just like another use case of like all the things that we need to improve with user experience. But yeah, I don't know. I thought I had 24 hours with one, but it could be mistaken. I tried to donate a few different ways through a few different wallets, and I was getting an issue too, similar, where we're saying like my time had run out.
I've run into more like a 15-minute window on a couple of them.
15 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty short.
Yeah, that's really short.
I mean,
especially
ideally, you only
have
need
options
10
for like
seconds.
transaction times. It's like, what if it's not fast enough? What if you can't send it quick enough?
That's BTC Pay Server. There's 15 minutes, and usually that's for to keep the fiat rate. I mean, just listening to the 15-minute number, it sounds like a BTC Pay Server thing.
I think it was, yes.
Yeah, because you could set where you lock in like the fiat rate for like if it goes up or down, you know, that like the invoice is still gonna like be settled by the company. And as for the other expiration times, it's actually arbitrary. You could have a expiration time of a year or of whatever. It's just at the point when I think the node kind of discards that pre-image. So it's because there is a limit on how many kind of like invoices you can generate, I believe, on the node. So they kind of have to like throw some of them away after a certain time. That's why the expiration is there, and the default is typically 1 hour. But I think that there's some changes that are going to happen on the nodes so by default. I think they're going to be maybe 24 hours now. I'm not 100% sure. But ultimately, we want to be able to edit this ourselves, I think.
So I posted a link to the screenshot I got in Moon in the thread on the latest comment in the general chat on Slack. I posted a link in the Jitsi as well. That's the error message I got. So I don't really understand it that well, but it's something to dig a bit deep into. But it's stuff like this. I thought I'd just bring it up because I guess it's stuff like this that are, you know, design challenges and stuff we need to kind of dive deeper into.
And this was for a Lightning payment?
Yeah.
So
if I remember correctly, like it was literally like, I think it was like the invoice was only for like a minute or two.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I just whipped out my Moon wallet, scanned the invoice, and then I got that message come up on Moon. So I don't really know why.
So we were talking about this a little bit earlier. I saw in a what's it called, Stack Overflow post that Moon is actually a fully on-chain wallet. Like all your funds are on-chain. Right now, they want to move away from it, and then they do the submarine swaps back and forth, so you can make either on-chain or Lightning payments. But maybe that is a reason why they need more time to process those, if there's an on-chain component for, and how much was this? 50, 60 euros, dollars or so?
It's like $55, but it increases with every like the goal is for them to increase. It's like auction style. So I think it's.
Do you have the turbo channels on?
I think turbo channels are on by default. You have to opt out on Moon, I think.
Because I think I did do a faster payment. I have done a faster payment using Moon.
Let me double check that. Yeah, turbo channels are on. Yeah.
What's a turbo channel?
Moon has this thing where it automatically kind of assumes, I think, that you have the funds. I'm not entirely sure how it works, so don't take my word for it. But it adds this thing where if you have money on chain, like on your Bitcoin side, it automatically grabs it for your Lightning payment. So it's faster. But I think you have to use the turbo channels for that.
Okay.
If you don't have any funds in your Lightning side, I think. I'm not entirely sure.
I think you're right. I think if you have Bitcoin on chain, it basically automatically will open and close channels for you, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if what I read is accurate, then your Moon has no channels. It's just submarine swaps. The whole thing.
So yeah, but yeah, I was able to complete the payment. I just done it on chain one anyway because there was no rush for me. So yeah, hopefully it can get that shirt in a couple of weeks while I'm in America. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
No rush unless we all buy shirts and it's unaffordable in a week. We're all going to increase the auction. It's going to be like a $400 shirt for you.
Well, technically, this one's not really. It's not really an auction. This one, I guess, though, is it?
It's not, but I guess it's a different style, isn't it? It's on the auction site. It seems like it increases based on how many people are buying it. It's a German artist. This is a German artist. Christoph, looking at you.
Yeah.
Aerosol digital artist.
Anyway, yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up anyway, just if anyone had any more insights into that.
I'm kind of curious, like, are we documenting these anywhere? Maybe I'm just like completely out of the loop, but like it would be good to have like use cases and like things that have worked and not worked.
No, that's a good point actually. Where would people suggest like this issue I've had just go directly to the Moon team maybe, or maybe I don't know, maybe I don't know if opening the issue is the right first call to action, but maybe just having a chat with either a developer there or something first, because we have those kind of. I think Dario's in the Slack channel already, so it might just be worth a DM conversation first, and then if it's something that they're getting messages about consistently, maybe documenting in more of an issue that's a bit more open, and getting some design feedback as well might be useful.
So maybe I see John's just posted in the chat the link to the GitHub discussion about what questions do you have around Lightning. I'd also like to throw out there, perhaps we need a separate GitHub discussion or a separate issue label or something, but for something that's separate, that's slightly different than that, not a question that you have about Lightning. Like I have questions, like philosophical questions about Lightning, right, or technical questions about Lightning. But then there's something like this, which Connor's talking about, which is like I was using Lightning as a user, and then I ran into this issue, and I didn't know what to do. So that's like user experience challenge or design problem or whatever you want to call it. So it might be worth coming up with a list of Lightning design problems. As designers, we solve design problems, so we need a list of what problems we're trying to solve.
Yep. Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that. But how do we in this case it's Moon who I was using. It could be any other Lightning wallet. How do we kind of engage with the team about it?
Yeah.
Without just kind of.
I mean, Dario from Moon is super active.
Yeah.
Super friendly and open. I mean, we could an easy thing would be another GitHub discussion where we just ask those questions, like what problems have you faced with Lightning? What hasn't worked out for you? And we just gather it for some time and see if we detect any patterns, see if we can get a lot of responses and take it from there.
Yeah, I think what I was talking about a second there, Connor, was I wasn't thinking so much of like how do I get the. I apologize. I wasn't trying to solve your problem, unfortunately. I wasn't thinking like how do we actually fix Moon or get them to solve. I think that's a good, valid discussion to have. How to talk about the problem with them. I was mainly just thinking of like how do we keep track of these in a more abstract sense as design problems for us to think about when writing guide content.
Like a log or something, like here's all of our issues, not even specific to Moon, right, Stephen? Just like people documenting whatever weird instances are happening. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Not specific to Moon, because like it's the sort of thing like say it's like a Lightning invoice time expiration thing. Well, that could also be an issue that another Lightning wallet has too. So that's like a Lightning design problem in a broader sense.
Mm-hmm. But how much do we actually tackle this in the guide in general, that the when things go wrong scenario? And I was thinking about this again for the case study update, because there's this multi-sig recovery thing where it asks, well, you will need to recover a key. Well, which one did you lose? And based on what type of key you lost, whether it's the cloud one or your device, your hardware wallet, it will show you different things. And if you lost 2 keys, then it has to say something like, we are sorry, we cannot help you. Your funds are lost now, right? And I've never designed a screen like this where it has to tell you like, sorry, you're screwed. But I mean, how deep? But ideally, that's worst case scenario, and then ideally for all these other things, it will say like, okay, this is tricky, but do this and this, and you can get your money back. It will just cost something or whatever it is. But we don't really dive into that very deeply in the guide, I think. But,
what about troubleshooting?
Yeah, error messages, people helping themselves, things that can go wrong. Johns, you were working on the payments chapter. How much did you feel like with payments? Were you expecting to add more of that around Lightning? Did you consider these things? And is there something in payments that I'm not aware of around errors, problems, troubleshooting?
Errors? We have no errors on chain.
Exactly.
The errors are all user based. Yeah, I guess technically do's and don'ts maybe fall into that kind of category. It's not maybe as explicit as like this is the design for an error state, but more along the lines of like these are the potential problems that can happen, and think about them. It's more conceptual, I guess.
Yeah, because there's also stuff which, for example, if you want to make a Lightning payment, but your internet connection's offline for whatever reason, there are actually some ways that you can still make payments. But then, of course, that would require wallet support and other things to be the case. So those would be good things to design too, because I feel like otherwise they just won't exist in applications.
I mean, I guess we could like just touch on, designing around intermittent connections, right? Which we don't really do much of in the guide so far. Because then we'd have like a transaction or something that's kind of like pending, right?
Yeah.
Well, like pending for broadcast, I mean.
Yeah, we need a devil's advocate to come up with all the things that can go wrong, and then we can design for them. How did your talk with Galloway go? Did they? I'm sure they have their users have all kinds of different issues that they stumble upon.
Yeah, we didn't get into that part as yet. I think the discussions around like user experience and stuff, I would leave it for the Bitcoin design community thing. This was more of like how is it like architected, and yeah, a lot of just for context, everyone. I just spoke with Nicholas from Galloway Wallet, the Bitcoin Beach wallet. It's quite interesting model. They don't call it custodial, or yeah, it's not like fully custodial. They say it's shared custody, which is interesting. So some of the keys are managed by people in within the community. They're focused more on trying to build a very lightweight wallet, and lightweight mobile app that that anyone could run on their devices. As running like a partial or a light node is quite heavy and intensive sometimes. And yeah, it has a bunch of UX issues. So yeah, I'm not sure yet about any of the user issues that they're running around. I think they have about 7 weeks now until the Bitcoin law gets enacted. So they're quite busy, heads down, trying to keep building for that.
The pressure's on there.
Yeah, I think it would be an interesting one for us to at least look into. It's not non-custodial, but I think maybe they should be at least using the Bitcoin UI kit.
Yeah, I mean, in the Stefan Levera podcast that I posted there, they talk about it, and they basically said that self-custody is just not economically feasible, just opening channels on-chain transactions. It's just too expensive for the average income over there. So the shared custody, where you have a group of people, it's like a community bank. They run the software, they run the nodes, and then people kind of have their own accounts on top. So that group of people has to be trusted to run the server, the nodes, and also manage the reserve, manage the cold storage. So it's a multi-sig setup, I think. And that actually makes it affordable or economically viable for the whole community to then use Lightning on top. But yeah, it's just, there are just all kinds of problems in it, but that's the only way that they can make it work there right now. It might change in the future, but this is kind of, at least in the podcast, that what they said was the functioning model that's workable right now.
Yeah. You still have like at some point, the LND that's running this is still going to be like a hotkey. So I guess what they're trying to do is minimize trust as much as possible versus like full sovereignty, self-custody.
Patricia, to your question about if anyone's reached out on behalf of the design community to see if people in El Salvador need help. I don't know, Johns, you kind of have.
We opened up a BTC Pay Twitter Spaces that kept crashing. Poor Pav, he gave it his best shot. But yeah, just trying to see how we could help. I don't know if anybody has any connections or if people need anything. I don't want to be prescriptive or force anything on anyone, especially like if it's cultural appropriation, like not the goal, but to say like we're here if people need help. I want to be available, right?
Well, you're getting Bitcoin forced on them anyway, so I mean.
But I mean, if we could help improve the user experience there, I'd be fantastic. it'd be awesome. I would be down for that. But I don't know the starting point. Like I looked at the Galloway website and I couldn't even see what the application looks like or how to do anything. I couldn't try it out. It's just, but yeah, we'd have to make some contacts there and see what could be done.
It's not available on your app store then?
I don't think it's an app. Johns, what is it? What did you?
Yeah, it is an app. It's the Bitcoin Beach app, honestly.
Yeah, but that's not the. Well, there.
I think they were talking about it at the Open Source Dome in Miami. There was like a bit of a talk about it, like a not a workshop, but like a 30-minute hour talk. It might be recorded. I could ask Matt.
I don't know. I downloaded the app, but it asked for a phone number to begin. Well, it kind of tells you what Bitcoin is, but it's only in English. I don't know if it's because of my setup or because it automatically comes in English. I don't think I can share it.
I don't see it in the App Store. Where would it be?
Let me look up the name. It's called Bitcoin Beach, I think. Let me see.
Maybe it's not available in Germany. Sorry?
Hang on. Let me see what it's called.
Yes, Bitcoin Beach Wallet.
It doesn't exist for me.
Yeah, it's tricky to find, it seems. Maybe not. So,
On iOS?
yeah, here's the link.
Oh yeah, there's the link. Let's see. Are you sharing the link? Well, here, hang on. I'm going to share it with Christoph. Hang on. It's coming. Share to Slack. Okay.
Okay, let's see. If
I think I'm
this
sharing
works.
it with. Did you just get something, Christoph? I think I shared it with you.
Not available in your country or region.
That's strange. It's working for me. I'm in Sweden.
I'm actually in the US App Store. That's probably why.
Yeah, I can't see it in my app store either.
Yeah, I'm in the US App Store as well, so I can't get it. But you could run the like Expo React.
And did you talk to Michael or anyone who's probably using this every day to see if they need any design help or what? I mean, I'm just kind of curious in your conversation, Johns.
Well, actually, I spoke to Michael like early in this year, around like January, February, so, and or yeah, maybe in December last year. And I think one thing that they were saying at the time is that they don't really. So we wanted to go in and do like a user research project, but so I was just talking to him and like trying to get like if he'd be good with this and if the people in the community would be good with it and whatnot. And he said actually it would be super valuable for them because they're kind of like really running in the blind on like what kinds of problems people have like you know like with the usage and stuff like that. They don't really have those stories and whatnot. So I still think that would be like a super valuable project to do. You know, like some interviews, build off some personas, collect some information about like yeah, challenges, things like denominations, like what people think about that, Bitcoin, Satoshi. I think a lot of people have such kind of questions. And even just like, do they care about like non-custodial and do they know about those things? I think that would be interesting. But yeah, he said like, yeah, he said for like the Bitcoin Beach organization itself, it would be super valuable to have this information because they're doing all these projects and they're not really, you know, sure. Like they can't quantify the impact necessarily.
Yeah, and I know that Strike is like big out there too, but as far as I know, I haven't seen like a lot of design efforts. So I totally agree. I think that would be awesome. Maybe we can reach out to him, see what's needed.
Which would also allow us to better understand, if there's a Spanish community that wants, in terms of the language, kind of what the needs and challenges are, and cultural as well. Yeah, that'd be super cool.
I mean, if we knew someone
accessibility.
if we knew anyone there who can do like a kind of workshop or something. I was planning on doing one in Indonesia, but it seems I'm not gonna be going over there anymore. Yeah, if we could do a workshop there, like a design workshop, Bitcoin design workshop, then that could be a way to like start forming the community, like a local community, and then they could come and tell us like what their problems are and learn about Bitcoin design, and instead of like, hey, we're going in there kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we're trying to see if we could do something similar with BTC Pay, because it shouldn't be like us telling anybody what to do. Like, people who are there, we're a resource to them. That's how I feel. So I think that's a great idea. Maybe we could do some workshops in tandem, find different folks who are interested in and have different needs, whether it's accepting Bitcoin or designing for it. So super good idea.
Anyone who speaks Spanish, Alexa, maybe do a video about like introducing Bitcoin design to LATAM.
Yeah, I think that's
maybe.
really important. Yeah.
No pressure though.
Yeah.
For the YouTube channel.
I could help with that too. I speak Spanish.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay, Eric.
Let's go.
Team effort.
Yes,
I have
team
some
effort.
After Effects skills too.
Cool.
Yeah, that way at least you could have it available, John. So I don't know what the next few months will bring, but I think there'll be more focus, and there'll be one aspect of it that goes a little bit more into the Spanish side of things. It'll be interesting to see what the needs are and how we can help.
Totally. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be really good. We've had enough English for now. Let's mix it up. Get more people on board.
I'm down.
I got to bounce, you guys, but I'll see you next week.
Yep,
See ya.
sounds good.
Bye. Thank
Thanks for
you.
joining.
See ya.
Yeah.
Spanish study group, anybody?
Yeah.
Lightning on Tuesday, Spanish on Thursday.
Learn Bitcoin in Spanish, and then you learn Spanish in the process. I don't know.
Yeah, we read the Spanish translation of Mastering Lightning. There isn't one, but I bet there's a Spanish translation yet. But I imagine there's a Spanish version of Mastering Bitcoin. So there you go. Well, I need to bounce too. So good talking with everybody.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for joining. Pretty quiet call today overall.
Yeah.
So I'll just stop the recording.
I think it balances itself out though after the last call.
Yeah, the last couple of ones were kind of intense.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're due a nice mellow one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna stop recording, and we can still chatting here if we want to.